everybody, how y'all are? A while back, I built one of those saw guides, you know? And what I did was I ran a dovetail along the bottom to use these clamps. Well, they worked real good. Right after I did it, I tested it, but I only shoved it in about that far. And it worked real good. Well, what ended up happening was, I don't know if you saw, that's why it looks real like it does. If you saw the build I did where I fixed the, how you say in English? Where I fixed the mailbox, I cut that post off. And I used this as a straight edge. Only problem is that only takes up about that much room. And I couldn't get these guys to go in tight enough, you know, close enough together. So they're still a little stiff. And I realized, at first I thought it was because when I ran it through I was using a straight bit instead of a upchuck bit, or whatever I call it, upturn bit, to cut the first initial groove out and then run the dovetail bits through it, so this way there's less material. And by doing that, it had lifted like in the middle or in a couple of spots, and it made for a bad mount, or a bad dovetail. But in actuality, I don't think that's the problem. I think, oh yeah, and then, so while I was doing this and messing with it and beating on everything, I put enough pressure on it that it popped the glue in a couple of spots. So I went and I got these little 1/2-inch screws I bought in bulk a long time ago. I got a whole container of them. And I set them real close together because there's not a whole lot holding this, you know, and so I figured a bunch of them would be like doing a bunch of rivets on an airplane. Then I sanded it down a little bit. I need to sand the edge down over here where the tear out is. And then I tried it again, and it fit pretty good. And then, so I waxed them. And I've come to the conclusion that there's something about this. I am using the proper 11, 17 degree fit, or whatever it is, and these fit. But the farther you put them in, the more they grab. They're going to get grabby because they're still new. They're cast. There's a little ridge on the casting, and over here's got roughness. So everything's fighting against you to hold on, which is good when you're clamping, but not so good when you're trying to move. And I found that even when I clamp it, it pulls up against the dovetail and tightens up. You gotta wiggle it a lot to get it loose. So it clamps good. So what I've done, like I said, I wax it down, and if I hold my mouth just right, wiggle it here and there once in a while, it will go all the way through now. Which, see, a lot of it depends on where you're pushing it. So, these things work good. They clamp good, they hold good. But from my experience, see, that worked real good in that end. My experience is you need, if you're going to make a jig or something like that that's going to use these, you don't want to go have a big span like this. You're better off going, like for example, if I was going to use that for cutting posts all the time, I'd only cut a piece about that big, so this way these guys didn't have to travel too far. Since the intention of this was for cutting panels, which if it wasn't raining I'd been doing, like my plywood and stuff like that, cutting it down, you're only going to go in about that far, because these are 4 foot long. So it really doesn't, it's kind of a moot point in some ways, but look at that. But by doing this and getting it so that it does move, I can use this on smaller panels if I want to. It'll work on 2x4. Now that I got it moving like this, it'll like I said, as I use it, the more you use it, the more these move freely. I've noticed that. And I noticed that, it's got a wiggle in it. And here in the middle, I'm very sure that my dovetail isn't perfect because it raised a little bit. But it's working its way through, so I can, by the time it's going to be time to replace this, these need to be working like they're supposed to. But these work. These work good. They're worth the investment. I'm saving my pennies to get a few more because I've got a lot of places that I like to use these on. They work good on a drill press. I would like to get and set up a straight edge with one of these and put it across my table on my workbench. So this way it would, it would kind of line, I'd have a straight place to put stuff against and beat on it and stuff. The plywood I use is pretty crummy. But I have this set up now, so that's 4 inches from here to here, and it's straight. I don't know what I'm going to do with this side yet. There's a 1-inch cut mark for that saw, but that would make it too floppy. So I don't think I'm going to go that route with it. Some people have said, or there were on some YouTube channels, they say to run a, you can use that to run your, as a router guide, which is okay if you're using one side bit. Like if I'm running a 1/4 inch bit, and I run through there, and then I go to that dovetailing bit, which this gap here is bigger than a 1/4 inch, I'm going to end up cutting into that. So I won't be setting once I set it up, my distances will be different. If you run, let's say for example, you do a lot of, or you build one of these to do like a bunch of cabinets where you're cutting dados in, then this would be a good deal because you can just turn around, set this on, set your router up and cut your, let's say you're going to use a 3/4 inch dado. You set this and you run it across it. I probably cut out a lot of the extra, so this way when you go to run that 3/4 inch dado, you're just cutting a little bit off. And then you can set that to where you want the outside of your dado at and be consistent every time until you use a different size bit, then it's going to throw it off. The saw, on the other hand, is consistent. So I'm not sure if this side here is wide enough to use I have to measure and see, to use my big saw, but I may do that. Set this up so that it'll work as a guide for my big electric saw. I have a big 7 1/4 inch, Whereas this one here is for my little Ryobi. And here's the thing I want to show you on that. When it's down all the way, which it is now, and you set it on here, this is too thick and the motor hangs up on it. But that's for 1.5 inches. That's for like an 1.5 inch cup. 1.5 inches, 1 3/4, something like that. So, but since I'm doing like 3/4 inch, it's probably 3/4 to 1 inch is thickest for paneling. It raises this whole end up to raise the blade up, and this motor will clear this. So I don't have a problem with it, with this smaller machine working with this and these guides. However, if I was going to be using this for cutting 2x4s, I'd have to take about a 1/2 inch off of the top of this. And instead of a 3/4 inch piece, make this a 1/2 inch piece, glue this on, and then when I run my dovetail through there, it'll be higher up here, but it'll drop the top down. Or I can get fancy and not say it sticks out too far. Otherwise, I'd say I can get fancy and just cut a groove in it, but yeah, I ain't gonna do that. It's a little shop tool. to work better now that I did what I did. I just want to jump in and throw that out there in case somebody was looking at using those micro jig clamps for a guide like this. Because it works. I do like it. It did real good on the post, except it was a dog to work with. But now that I got it anchored a little bit more and, you know, kind of did, what do you want to call damage control, we should be back in business.